Hey everyone, it's Kimmy. I am Mama on a Mission, and today I am going to do a video that I've kind of been promising for a while. I wanted to start an informative series, meaning a series of videos, like if you go to my playlist, it would be called Informative Series, of just information, tips, tricks, updates, things we should be thinking about as resellers, as thrifters. And I did update one of my playlists to it is called Informative Series. And there's a ton of videos already in there because you guys know I've been trying to do this for a couple years now, this YouTube channel. So I have done videos before. Like, I think one of the first ones I saw was how to tackle your death pile. Someone on this channel, I'm sorry, I forget your name at the moment because my brain is not great, calls it her profit pile, which I actually like a lot more. I think I need to be calling it the profit pile, or basically a pile of items that you know you should be listing and maybe has sat there for too long. Guilty. Done it a million times. Don't feel bad about it. As long as you continue to work and that profit pile doesn't get too big, you're fine. It's okay. I like the profit pile term better, but one of the videos from a while ago that I had done says, here's some tips and tricks on how to tackle that pile of items and to stay focused, stay productive, all of those things. So today I'm going to do a first video of the informative series in a long time. And I think it's a topic that we all should really be thinking about as resellers. You know, my channel here a lot of times is kind of the same stuff. And it's good. I think it's good stuff. Hopefully someone else thinks it's good stuff. It's a lot of hauls, thrift hauls, garage hauls, where I'm picking up items and what I plan to do with them in my online reseller business. And then of course my what sold videos. So those are videos where I literally tell you guys exactly what's selling for me, why I think it's sold, and how much it's selling for. But I do want to kind of switch up in my spare time, because you guys know I have a ton of that. I really would like to add on to the informative series. I do have a whole bunch of notes of things people have asked me for, so I'm really going to try to hone in. No promises, but I'm going to try. So today is an informative series clip. They should be short videos, 10-15 minutes. And this one is about something I am thinking about myself as a reseller. And it is that now that it's July, we are in quarter 3, which leads to quarter 4, right? So I talk a lot on my channel about pinpointing, and not always, but like pinpointing items that sell during that time frame. I will pick up cashmere pretty much all year round, and it sells for me on and off all year round. However, let's be real. Those types of items, cashmere, sweaters, are going to sell better late summer, fall, winter. So going into quarter 3, July, I have a bunch of notes and thoughts in my head that I thought I would share with you about things that I'm thinking about for quarter 3. Now, one of the first things is we still have time for summer, okay? But the time is getting a little short. You know, I've been selling linen, shorts, dresses for months now. I would say April-ish, it really started to pick up for me, especially with the linen materials, swimsuits. People are going on travel, spring break, spring and into early summer. It's been nonstop. And I do still think there's time for summer items. So if you have them, get them listed. Sandals, swimsuits, tank tops, shorts. And if you do like decor or hard goods, you know, anything related to that, patriotic items like for July 4th, of course. Any type of decor that would be during that time period, like people do luau parties, barbecues, theme parties. They're always looking for fun things to decorate at a party or just their home in general, as far as like summer types of items go. And I am thinking about doing an extra sale in my shop on those particular items. Now, you can select in your shop certain items to go on sale. You don't have to put everything on sale, right? So you can search. There's a couple ways you can do this. Now, my store, my eBay store specifically, is categorized by certain things. And I do have a category that is like men's items. So all of my men's items is in that category. You can just put that on sale. I have some things by size. I also have things as far as like bottoms, shorts, skirts, pants. So I can create a sale that only encompasses that category, which is kind of nice. And then you can go into those categories and unclick things you don't want to put in on sale. So it might take you a little bit, 15 minutes, to go through your shop, depending on how many items you have. And maybe you're just going to click any of the items that you feel are applicable, that you think should be moving for spring, summer, or you want to get rid of before summer is over. Now's the time. So I do think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to search out in my shop. I'm literally going to put shorts. And then all the items that come up in the search of my items for shorts, I'm going to put on an extra sale. You know, I do a lot of sales, 5, 10%, but I think I'm going to put like 20%, 25% off for these summer items to try to get as much moved as possible while people are still buying them. And in July, they're still going to buy them. People are still going on trips. August is going to be hot in most places, like hot. Maybe people just want an extra 1 or 2 items for their summer wardrobe just to kind of round out their summer wardrobe before we go to fall. So in my opinion, if you have a ton of spring, summer items, shorts, swimwear, I think it would be a great time to 1, finish listing those items, and 2, which I actually think I have a couple of sandals. Now I'm looking over there. I'm like, ooh, I think I have a few sandals to list. And 2, possibly doing a sale or a greater sale than you normally do in order to move these items before fall and winter. I don't know how many people are going to buy sandals in November. You know what I mean? So while the fire is still hot, while people are still looking for those items, buying and using those items, it would be a great time to do a sale on those items. So that's one thing I am thinking about. In fact, I'm going to put a little exclamation point by it for my own brain so that I remember to do that. I might do it for a week or 2, maybe towards the end of July, because we have a holiday, you know, with July 4th and everything. So I'm going to do that. Put a sale on, get those sandals listed. You know, if you find a straggler every once in a while, you know, it is what it is. But if you have those items and you know you have some things sitting around, it's a great time to do that. So besides that, July, August, and September are quarter 3, which are usually considered like the slow rise up to quarter 4. And depending on what you do, you may see a huge increase or you may not. You know, like I've mentioned before, my slow sales are usually June and July. I call it my summer slowdown. But if you sell a ton of summer stuff, right? If you specialize in swimwear, you have a whole shop of swimwear, June and July probably aren't slow for you. So, you know, take that into consideration as well. But for me, it's typically slow, and that's why I'm doing the sale. Q3 going into Q4, I'm thinking about fall items. I'm going to be making a transition here. I'm going to be even saying this in some of my What Sold videos. I completely am prepared for some of my summer items to start slowing down. You guys like some of my random noises? I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. Those are going to slow down, and then we need to start thinking about the transitional time period, which I have a couple things here. One is back to school. And there's 2 folds to that, in my opinion, as far as especially a clothing reseller. And I did put down some notes for like hard goods, but one is like you're talking your elementary, middle school, high school kids. And there's a lot of clothes that can be sold during that time period. If you have new tags, especially if you have stuff that you picked up on maybe clearance from like a TJ Maxx or those types of places, if that's some of how you purchase items, then that for sure, that time is coming. You should start listing those items soon, in my opinion. Like July for sure, start pulling out some of those items. If you do kids clothes, or if you can go to garage sales or the bins and find similar sizes, outfits, new with tags, this would be the time to do it, in my opinion. Q3 for back to school, and Q4 for giftables, right? For sure, for Christmas, for gifts. I do every once in a while get lucky with some new tags kid stuff. You can get a lot of kid stuff at the bins for a pretty low cost. And if you stick with just new tags, it very well would be profitable for you, a low cost of goods. And Q3, meaning, back to school time period, it would be a great time to capitalize on that. I also put down like school and back and fall items as far as coats. You guys, it's almost going to be coat season, and I love coat season for, really for any age group, but especially for kids. If you can find decent Columbia, North Face, it doesn't have to be super brand name. Honestly, it could be Eddie Bauer, even in actual coats and jackets, things of good quality, down puffer vests, if you can find those, of course. A lot of the kids go through the sizes, and their parents will be looking for new coats in fall. And coats are expensive. So if you can find a nice looking coat at the bins for $1, there's a good chance someone will be looking for that in, let's say, August to September. Maybe even October. Maybe they're going to wait a little bit for it to cool off, okay? But we're getting to that period, so we need to think about that. I know a ton of resellers who talk about how well they do in early fall with coats, jackets, jean jackets, snowsuits, bibs. Well, I'm in Wisconsin, but every year I had to buy my sons a new size because they were always growing. Any of those great outdoor brands, LL Bean, like I said, Columbia, Eddie Bauer, even some of just like Nautica, anything that has the outdoor value to it could be a great sale. I would say most of the time, if you find a piece that's in good condition in any of those regular brand names, if you can find like North Face, Patagonia, those, then you're really getting up there. You're going to get at least $15, but I'm going to say 20, 25, even 30 if you can find ones that have hoods, down feather filling, full zip with all the zipper pockets, and in great condition. So that's another thing to be thinking about. I know it's July and it's 900 million degrees outside, and we're all sweaty and humidity, but it's coming. It's coming, and it's a good time to think about it now. And especially, that's almost a tip in itself, is some people might not be thinking about it right now in July. You might be able to go to the section, the coat section, even in your regular thrift store, and maybe there's things that people are passing on because no one's thinking about it right now. July, August, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be like, boom, September, everybody needs a coat. Well, there's a little tip for you. Maybe take a look at it, but especially if you're at a garage sale and someone's like, oh, that's my son's winter coat from last year, you can take it for $1. Grab that up for sure. If it's in good condition, hopefully even just a decent name. Like I said, people love their hoods, their zipper pockets, all those things. The other thing I was going to mention too was back to school supplies. Now, I don't really do a whole lot in that, but I did have one example. So supplies, of course, could be anything that you have around the house that might still be new in package, binders, clips. I thought of this though. I had this I still have a whole bunch of these. One time at the Goodwill outlet, if you know, you know. Where are my parents at out there that has had to sharpen 1 million pencils? Who's with me? Every year you have to get, little Johnny needs 36 pre-sharpened pencils. My hand's numb. I got this little tiny square Dollar Tree sharpener. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. There's wood chips flying everywhere in my kitchen because I'm trying to get through. And then they tell you, you got to write your name on the side. Kimmy, Kimmy, Kimmy. You know what? I would pay someone. And I did. To buy the nice pre-sharpened pencils. And at the bins one time, I still have them. I found a gigantic bag full of, do you guys know this brand? This Ticonderoga. I just sound like such a dummy sometimes. This is a very high quality pencil, and they came pre-sharpened. I got a whole bag. Like, I'm not even I'm telling you guys, 150 pre-sharpened high-end pencils. Look at, I'm so fancy. And this was like one of the best finds I could ever find, because they're already sharpened. They're pretty expensive pencils, but honestly, they're really good quality. They came pre-sharpened. So my point with that whole story is me just sitting there with that little thing. Hey, you know what? That should tell us if you can find a pencil sharpener, like a really nice one that's electric, that also could be something someone might be looking for. I paid, who knows what I paid for that giant bag back then. That was a couple years ago, and I still have some left, and my sons steal them all the time. I might have even had 200 pencils in a giant thing, threw it on the weight, the pound thing at the bins, and probably paid $1.50 for hundreds of pencils. So that was another thing I had down as far as going into Q3, back to school, Q4, any type of supplies you can find, things kids would need in a dorm room. Think college essentials. I put down, you know, basic decor, book holders, things for organization. A lot of college kids love different ways to organize their books. You know, anything of those things. Maybe you even might go to a garage sale where that's their kid just got done with college, and there's a whole set of nice organizers or something, and they only want $1 for them. Okay, these are all the things I'm thinking about as far as preparing for the next season, back to school, fall, of course. Another thing with fall is the holidays are coming. Anything Halloween, people go crazy for Halloween, autumn, fall, Thanksgiving, and of course Christmas. Anything right now, I'm going to start picking up anything substantial in those holiday pieces. Ugly sweaters, you get them going. I mean, I sell ugly sweaters in October. Anything Halloween, Halloween movie related, all of that. Start to think about it. I'm thinking about it. I mean, you don't have to. You guys know me. I'm not forcing you. This is what I'm thinking about, okay? Any of those holiday things. Thanksgiving, decor, like I said, the sweaters. Football. It's going to be football season. People go crazy for football. So again, especially if you're just a you're just a clothing seller, any football team, big college, I mean, which you can sell all year round, but it's going to get hot. People are going to be looking for jerseys, sweatshirts, whatever in football and college football. Keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. But clothes in general, as a clothing seller, it will pick up because people will be looking for kids' clothes, back to school, even college kids back to school. And then usually parents, we treat ourselves to something new. Maybe you want something new for your fall wardrobe, something to freshen up your wardrobe for work, in the office, whatever it may be. Usually we also treat ourselves to something different. So it still is applicable as a clothing seller as well. And just, it's coming. Be ready. These are the things that are on my thought process list here of what we should be thinking about preparing for. Also, if you still are in low sales, I'm really hoping my son's sports slow down for a little bit. I get a couple weeks before they go into football season. A couple weeks. And I'm really hoping to hone in a little bit on my organizing. I know I'm not going to get everything cleaned and organized exactly the way I want, but I am hoping to get a few things done around my office here. Organizing some of my bins. You know, some of them are kind of disheveled. Putting away some things a little bit nicer instead of just tossing it. I mean, I don't really do that, but if you have still a little bit more downtime before Q4, when things might get busier, maybe personally or in a business for you, it's the time to take that time and do all of those things. And of course, I have down giftables. Anything new with package that could be a gift, which is virtually anything. I mean, the other day I found at the bins a whole thing, and I should start showing you guys some of these other random things that I find. I had a whole cart full of VTech toys. If you guys aren't familiar with those toys, they're like educational, but they're electronic and you can hit buttons. They make noises. A lot of times they're page turners. There's actually money in VTech toys. Now at the bins, I'm paying $1 and I might get $15, $20, $25 for them. I picked up a bunch of stuffed animals, but they were like Marvel stuffed animals. And again, that's something like someone might buy as a gift topper or a stocking stuffer, you know, like a small to add in front of the presents in front of the tree. You know, it was a whole bag of Marvel stuffed animals. Super cute, like Spider-Man, just Marvel, all those things. Someone's going to want that. And gosh, I would hate for them to end up at the like in the garbage, right? Like some kid would love to have that stuffed animal. What else did I have? Oh, I found an entire art set, like a really, really fancy one. All kinds of those really cool books in it. If you have a bins, they might only charge you like $1 per item or a certain amount for like a bigger, heavier item. So you might want to ask. It was all brand new coloring books, the little wax crayons, all the things, really nice. You know, think about things that people might want to give as a gift. The VTech toys is huge. And you know what? Hey, I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Cajun Reseller. He does really well in plushies. And there's money in plushies. I'm like shocked at sometimes. My sister just sold like a $80 bunny. What are those things called? Something cat. Jelly cat. There's money in stuffies, so don't be afraid to look at those junk bins. I'm trying to think. There was a couple other things. Just a ton of toys. I don't take them home unless I know they work. And luckily there was a ton of VTech toys that actually turned on and made the noises and you could test them out. You know what else there was? Last thing before I go here. And this you would have to sell like on Marketplace or something. But as a kid, I had one of those Play School, like it was Play School with SKOOL, the yellow plastic grocery carts with the little red thing and the blue wheels. The red like cart, the small cart part. You guys remember one of these? I should pull up a picture. There was one in the bins. And I was like, how can I bring this home and what could I get for it? Then I had to ship it. I passed on it and I'm almost regretting it a little bit just because I had so much nostalgic value. The big plastic ones. I'm not talking like the tiny little ones. I'm talking like the thick plastic Play School one. Brought me back. So those are other things that you can think about at a garage sale. People will still do garage sales into fall. And there's usually a ton of Christmas stuff. Just be careful on what you get for Christmas. Make sure it's in really good condition. And hopefully it's something that people actually need, right? I mean, people collect a ton of Christmas stuff. But if you're looking for like certain brands like Enesco, you know, what's that one? There's certain brands that do really well in the Christmas stuff. So make sure it has a name on it. Make sure you look it up. If it looks substantial or pretty, it doesn't look like it came from the Dollar Tree, then maybe look it up. And of course, keep your cost low always. But those are all things I'm thinking about. So what did we talk about? It's starting to Q3. Get your summer stuff in. Get your summer stuff listed, linens, swimwear, everything. Consider maybe doing a sale. A bigger sale on just those items you want to move. Anything that could be sandals, shorts, tanks, swimwear. Start thinking about back to school, holidays, kids. I sure hope someone chimes in and says I'm not the only one who sat for hours sharpening pencils. And I was so excited to find all of these sharpened Ticonderoga number 2 pencils. College basics, decor, of course, clothes, football. Vintage clothes are really big with like the college crowd, and a lot of those style-based, you guys know I'm huge on style-based. There's a huge crowd in that college era of people who love the style-based, the Y2K, the fairy, the goth, the whimsy, all, you know, all those things. And be ready for Q4 when those orders, fingers crossed, people start spending their money, and hopefully you start getting a ton of orders. So let me know. It's coming. We're in Q3. We're moving to Q4, hopefully. You still have time, hopefully. I'm also going to try to do some organizing in there before we get busy again, knock on wood, with a bunch of sales. So check in. Let me know what you think. And hopefully I can continue to do one of these videos in the informative series dash reseller tips and tricks. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on the next one.